the knowledge, man, not necessarily the money. The money is just a tool.
What's good, trappers? It's your boy, the Wall Street Trapper. Y'all know my goal is to help the culture build wealth one share at a time. We back. Re-up Tuesdays. You know, we need to rock it up.
Right.
Gotta rock it up. Yeah, we gotta re-rock it. Re-up Tuesdays, man. I got my beautiful co-host with me, the Queen, Jamila. How are you?
I am wonderful. I'm blessed. Thanks for having me as always. Thanks for having me.
Nah. You can't thank us for that. It's our pleasure. You bless us, right? So I'm telling you, I keep telling you that every week, it feels like you're becoming a rock star. No.
Nah.
Like, I don't know if you be reading the comments, right? But I be reading the comments. And when I read the comments, all I hear people saying is, man, that queen is amazing. That queen is amazing. And I just be like, y'all just finding out. I've been new. That's why I should hear. What are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all just finding out. That's why we here. So, you know, how you feeling? How you been?
Feeling good. Appreciate the love. Like I said, I hope to continue to add value, continue to help folks break this thing down, right? So that it's real simple, real easy to digest, and they can take it and go do something with it. Take those notes and make it some action items and change their family's life. Like really and truly, that is ultimately very rewarding in this setting to know that in some way I'm able to help someone to figure this thing out. That makes me feel amazing, to be honest. And so I'm blessed. I'm blessed.
You are 100% making this thing. Like, I see things, I see shifts when they happen, and I'm just glad to be a part of this one. I'm glad to be somebody who says I can stand on side of you, not in front of you, not behind you, but I'm glad I say that I can stand on side of you. Love seeing such a beautiful queen who looks like me, who has the same skin complexion, but also who is from my goddamn city.
Woo!
You know what I'm saying?
Let's go.
Just talk that talk, man. So definitely, I love to hear that. So this week, Queen, what we talking about? What we talking about this week? What we got on that?
You know, last week we talked a little bit about, how, you be putting these companies out here consistently, right? Just dropping gems and sometimes, I know they get caught in the hype, right? And they don't necessarily always hear these gems you're dropping because they're not mainstream when you drop them.
Right.
They're not mainstream. But man, they become mainstream because they got your phones tapped. They
definitely got my phones tapped. Got my phones tapped.
Got your phones tapped. So then they become mainstream. Right.
Tap phone hot.
And I know you personally spent a little time in this sector that we're going to cover today, industrials, right?
Yeah.
It's a little bit of your wheelhouse from my studies on Trapper.
I like them. Here's why. They're easy to read. They're easy to understand. Industrials are the easiest sector to understand. It's easy to understand, poised for growth. It's poised for growth. The economy cannot grow without industrials. Most industrials have long histories. So now the data is there for me. Right? So that's put me in it. Easy to read, poised for growth, long history. Right? So
no guesswork when you got history.
I don't like guesswork. This is why only a portion of my portfolio is for speculation. I need data. Even though, the past is not an indicator of the future.
Correct.
But it can give me an idea. I can put pieces to the puzzle together. You know what I'm saying? But also
probabilities. It can increase my probability of success.
100%. And then, when we look at that, so we look at America as it grows, we know technology gets a lot of hype into it, right? Technology is the beautiful thing. Like, ooh, that's shiny.
Sexy. It's sexy.
Sexy. Right? This technology is just sexy. Like, yo, woo, but like when we think about industrial, like think about what makes the machine go. machinery, manufacturing, construction, healthcare, infrastructure, defense and aerial space. Industrials tie into all of that.
Yeah.
What's good, trappers? Welcome in. So what I want to do right now is introduce you to Trappers Anonymous. Trappers Anonymous is a dope community that we have of all like-minded investors. It's for those who are looking for a little more engagement, who want to get questions answered, who want to engage with me, the Trapper. This is my intermediate family, right? I really rock with the Trappers in this community real hard because Monday we have a day called Monday Madness. Tuesday we have Ticker Symbol Tuesday. Wednesday, Wild Out Wednesdays. Thursday, ETF Thursday. Drip Fridays, and Say Something Sundays. It also comes with a weekly class every Sunday, and we do a live book club. So do me a favor, click that link below and join Trappers Anonymous. We're giving it to you for the first 7 days for $1, $1 only. And everything after that is $37 a month, only for the next 30 days. Because if you don't get it now, the price is going up to $47 because we just add value. We want to just add as much value as we can to make you a better trapper, to help you build wealth one share at a time and turn your last name into an asset. Trap with me. Now go kick the link and get out of here.
We need it.
We need it.
It's like saying, man, that car look good.
Mm-hmm.
What the engine do though?
Right. The parts.
What the engine do though? What that carburetor look like? What that alternator look like?
Yeah.
That's industrials. So I'm all, man, listen, I can't wait to see what we got here. Let's get into it, Queen.
Let's get into it. Let's get into it. Let's pull this up for everybody.
And for people who don't know, I always get off, when she's breaking things down, I like to get off so I can just let her do her thing. Like y'all always see me clicking. I see me like, Trap, why you be clicking in and out? I like to sit back and be a student. I don't be wanting y'all to be looking at me. I be wanting her to like get her thing. Like, let the queen shine. We don't got it. When it's time for us to talk, we gonna share the stage. I want her to shine, man. Like, she killing it. Hey, go on, kill it, queen.
I appreciate you. So let's get into industrials a little bit. Not the most sexiest, as we just mentioned, but it's what makes everything work, right? So I wanted to start out by sharing just a few, and Trap mentioned a few of them at the beginning, just a few of the specific industries within the sector. So you've got aerospace, air and freight logistics, your UPS, FedEx, XPO, airlines, building products, right? So start thinking as I'm rattling these off about the things that you touch day to day that fall into this sector. Industrial conglomerates, right? Construction and engineering. You got commercial services and supplies, electrical equipment, machinery, marine, professional service, and road and rail. So these are just, and there's a few more, but I didn't want to litter the whole slide up, but I'm sure day to day, you're touching these day to day, whether you realize it or not, from an industrial standpoint, right? So those are some of the industries that make up that sector. What's going on in the backdrop of industrials? This is really important, right? This is why, we're fans of industrials pretty much all the time, but even more so right now. So the Democrats will likely make heavy infrastructure spending a top priority, only second to COVID-19. Only second to COVID-19. So if COVID-19 was not a factor in today's society, in today's world, infrastructure would probably be the number one thing they'd be focused on. Probably be the number one thing they'd be focused on. So that's a major, major, major nugget. Biden's campaign theme was Build Back Better. Build Back Better. Infrastructure.
That's a fact. Build back better.
Build back better. That was his campaign, right? So he was letting you know through his campaign slogan what I'm going to be focused on. Politically desirable to have fiscal stimulus aimed at Main Street versus Wall Street, right? That's that's I guess you would just say appropriate and correct politically. It's to be focused on the people, the infrastructure, what's going to make our lives better versus Wall Street. Strong residential construction, right? That benefits industrials and materials.
Yep.
Right? Total benefit there. And right now, people are paying more for residential real estate than it's actually worth.
Mm-hmm.
right? Because what? The supply is low and the demand is high, which ultimately what impacts industrials?
Yes.
Industrials have historically performed well in a V and U-shaped recovery, right? Another nice nugget. And then businesses could delay capex spending till late 2021, but we like to be in the market, right? Time in the market before the major move happens. So even if it's delayed to the back half of the year or even early 2020, that means you can probably get it at a better price right now before the move happens. And what? It's all over CNBC and everybody's like, Trap said industrials in 2021. And da, 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 da. You know, that whole thing that we consistently do.
That whole thing that we
After the fact, we're like, man, Trap had said, you know, this is when you make the move, right? This is when you make the move. So that's what's going on in the backdrop of industrials. And I think those points, because, you know, obviously a presidential term is 4 years, right? So that's a long period of time for them to be focused on it. So you may not see that massive move year one, might be year two, could be year three. But if you get the time, if you get that right price, and then you're in the market and you stay in the market, when the move happens, you will be rewarded. We talked about patience in the last episode.
Patience. Time in the market is better than time in the market.
Right. So I'm hoping that with each segment of Re-Up Tuesdays, you're getting that little nugget that you take away that pieces this whole thing together. Mm-hmm. So we talked about time in the market. We talked about patience and understanding what's happening with volatility and market moves and what moves the market. And now we're talking about a specific sector. And what are the things in the backdrop that could move this specific sector over the next 1 to 4 years, maybe even longer? So that's what we have going on in the backdrop of industrials. A couple indicators, right? Because we want to give you something to chew on, right? We don't want to just talk about the stocks like we always say. We don't want to just talk about that. You need something to go with that. You want to be a big whale, right? You want to be a whale.
Well,
you want to move with the whales. The whales look at these indicators, and one of those big indicators for industrials is CEO confidence, right? Mm-hmm. So CEO confidence is simply just a survey where they take some CEOs across multiple industries, and they say, okay, well, how you feeling, right? What you think is happening? And that survey collectively gives us an outlook, an economic outlook, to say, okay, if it's over 50, those CEOs are very bullish on the marketplace, and if they're very bullish, that means that they're going to capex spend, right? Mm-hmm. To grow their businesses, which ultimately is how jobs are created, right? It's ultimately how they can continue to deliver on ROIC, mm-hmm. right? Earning
capital.
Right? So all of those things work hand in hand based upon how they're feeling, because they can't spend the money, right, if they don't believe that they're going to get that return on investment. Mm-hmm. When they go to spend the money, in most cases, it's going to impact industrials. It's going to impact jobs for sure. So that's kind of how it all works together and why that specific indicator becomes important in industrials. Mm. The second one is ISM manufacturing or PMI index. That's the Purchasing Managers Index. It indicates the level of demand for products. And all they do is measure the number of orders that are coming in to say, okay, well, it's looking good. Orders are up, orders are down. Really simple. Don't have to overcomplicate it. But there's always a consensus. There's always an analyst that says it should be this.
Always.
And if it's not this or if it's not that, which isn't a perfect science, it can affect the market. Like we talked about market moves. It can affect the market.
Hyperbole.
Right? But we want to know, right, based upon the sector we're talking about, we want to know what those orders look like, because it can absolutely indicate whether or not we should be heavy into these companies. And I'll show it on a chart here next for you all. And this chart is busy. It looks crazy, right? You probably see them. They throw these charts up on CNBC. I love charts personally, but sometimes, like I said, you got to keep it simple. All this chart is saying is that little light blue line says where PMI came in during that year, right? Up, down, low, with 50 kind of being the midpoint. And then on the left side, you see the percent of global fund managers. So that's big money, institutional investors, overweight in industrials. That's the blue bars, the dark blue bars in the backdrop. So if you notice, The fund managers are overweight, so they're getting heavy into industrials when the blue line is up. When the blue line is down, they're underweight. So if you're right, if you're watching PMI and you know PMI is running over 50, chances are the institutional investors are moving heavy into industrials and vice versa. That's it. And now you can use that information when you hear the numbers come out every month. You can say, okay, all right, it came in around 55. Okay, those global fund managers are probably heavy right now. Industrials may not be moving yet, but they may be heavy in it for the move that's coming later, right? So that's how you can use these indicators. I know it seems a little daunting because you got all this stuff happening, lines everywhere, numbers everywhere, but this one just says that if the orders are good, we going in. We going in, and we're going in overweight.
That's the dope part I like about this game is there's always something to tell you what's going on. The goal is just, are you willing to do the research and the homework to say, oh, that's the something. Like this, there's so many indicators and graphs and charts and indexes that tell you what's going on, filings that they have to do. Like this, the game is level if we just start paying attention to what's in place. Thank you for this.
Yes, that's it. To your point, it's right there in front of us. If we just, again, we don't have to look at all of them either, because there's millions of them. You just got to pick a couple. And that's what I hope to bring to you guys every week, every other week, is just a couple that you can go chew on and start there and keep it simple, right? So if you're playing in the industrial space, these are two that I think you should be looking at, right? And you'll hear the numbers on TV and now you'll recognize it. Oh, PMI. Jamil and Trap talked about PMI. Oh, it's over 50? Oh, okay. Okay, now let me go look at the sector performance post those numbers, right? Or I can even go back and look and see on another chart, oh, if it was 50 or if it was 48, this is how the market responded. And now you're building that into your toolkit, to your Trap toolkit, right? To be able to now diagnose when I need to move in industrials.
That's a fact.
Right? So for the company spotlight this week, right? Since we're talking about industrials, we're talking about orders, we're talking about CEO confidence, we're going to talk about these two fish, these two big ones, right? Again, it's EXPD and FAST, right?
Just 1 second. Did Trappin not talk about fast enough?
Like over and over. And I think even before I got in the group, because I went back through the history.
Fastenal, when I work construction, Fastenal is the #1 supplier of nuts, bolts, and screws worldwide. Every site I went on, there's boxes. And then here's the dope part about it. They not only sell wholesale, but they also sell retail. So they sell wholesale to the huge, and they sell retail to the cool business. Boring business. That was the boring business section.
Boring. And I thought one of the interesting things before I jump into these stats on them, when I was looking into them, they have about 2,000, physical locations, right? And, in this day and age, most people are either trying to turn those into distribution points or get out of them, right? Because it's all about e-commerce. However, because of the way they go about their sales approach and the business to business portion, it actually plays in their favor, right? Those distribution points play in their favor. So that's just a little extra nugget, man. Trapper tire required. Go research that. Go research that.
Do with it. Do what you do with it.
Go research that. Go research that. So then talking about Expeditors International of Washington, EXPD, right? I'm going to highlight the moat for both of these companies because I thought it was important. Like you said at the beginning, they have long history. Industrials have long history. So you're going to find some companies with some deep, wide moats in the sector, which is what you want, because you don't want that competition encroaching upon it.
Nah, man. It's gonna
right?
kill
And you're
you.
gonna find that in industrials.
Yep.
So the network effect for Expeditors International, right? One one of the things that I always like to see is revenue growth. So they're up almost 9% on average the last 5 years. EPS up 11%, dividend plus 7%, debt's about 430 million, and they got 1.47 billion in cash and cash equivalents, right? So almost no debt, little debt, but ultimately that deep moat on the network effect, right? Because the scale of the type of shipping that they do enables them and their customers to get scale or to get network discounts or actually minimize costs because of the way they do their transportation. So I'm going to allow y'all to go dig a little bit more on them, and I'll show you a chart here in a second. But that deep moat and being able to still produce, especially on the air side when things got shut down during COVID, was to still be able to produce at the rate that they're producing. I just think you should take a look at it. I'm not personally invested in this company. We just want to give you guys some things that maybe not be mainstream just yet that you should probably take a look at, right? If we're going to this new evolution of technology, e-commerce, the goods still have to move. They have to move. The goods have to move. So then moving over to fast, right? They've got a scale-driven cost advantage when it comes to their mode, right? A scale-driven cost advantage. And we talked about that business-to-business piece. That part is key, in my opinion, to their business model, which makes me interested in this company. Revenue plus 7% last 5 years. EPS plus 11. Dividend, 12% growth over the last 5 years. About 650 million in debt and about 250 million in cash equivalents. A little bit more free cash flow, but ultimately that's where fast is. Now again, it's not sexy. We're talking about nuts and bolts and moving stuff, right? It's not sexy. But if you look at the chart, what do we want to see? It's consistent growth and an upward slope or upward trajectory over time. So you're looking at 2004 all the way to current day. Roughly about 20 bucks, now about 93 bucks. Ain't lighting the world on fire. It's not Chipotle. It's not Chipotle, right? It's not Chipotle. But consistent returns, consistent revenues, consistent EPS, consistent dividend growth, consistent share price growth over time, right? And this is, again, another quick way to look at a company. Now let's look at Fastenal. Same story. Now there was a little bit of consolidation from 2012 to about 2018, but again, time in the market. If those few years made you nervous, if you were already in Fastenal, you then missed 100% return on your money. You then missed 100% return on your money. And again, looking at a chart like this, you're like, this could have been any company. All I know is over time, it has an upward slope. And that's what you want to see when you back away from a company. Say, okay, when we think about those rules, right? We want that growth to be in place, that ability to expand, that ability to have a great moat and see it visually happening roughly 2006 to current day. I don't know, but that seems like a pretty consistent situation with the backdrop that we talked about at the beginning of the presentation, the investment that's about to be made in infrastructure, right? That's ultimately, to me, one of the things that I believe you should take a peek at on a chart, then run it through the rules, check those couple of dots on revenues, EPS, and dividends, and now you go in the trap for real and break this company completely down, and I think you'll find a great investment. Hey, I'm not telling you to buy it. I'm not telling you to buy it, but I am telling you this is something you should check out. That's what I got for him, Trap.
I think this is amazing. Even when looking at those charts, right, is what we talk about, consistently growing up, like consistently increasing shareholder value, increasing equity, ownership stakes, increasing dividends. You saw that 5 years, 12% increase. right? We see that. And you know, if you know Peter Lynch, that's where I get that from. Peter Lynch said, the boring businesses.
Mm.
That's where I get it from. Like, I just study the greats. I just go off what they say.
Boring businesses.
Boring businesses, man. Like, you know, boring businesses give you the consistency that you want. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we're looking for. I'm looking for businesses. Again, when we look at Fastenal, we look at, you know, the growth, you know, we look at the moat, right? We look at, like, will this be around? I got a question for you. How long do you think the world will need nuts and bolts? Screws.
Yeah, I haven't seen any innovation that's about to take a screw out. I just haven't.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen the innovation that's going to stop screws from being needed, from nuts and bolts and washers from being needed.
Correct.
It's number one dealer in that. I mean, what more can we say about it?
You grab the door handle to open up a door.
You got screws on it.
We got screws. So that means we're not getting in and out of doors in our homes and businesses or what have you.
When I was building, I was in construction, building those, I would see, I'm talking about, yo, so any building you see needs screws, nuts, and bolts. So unless America gonna stop building buildings, unless the world, now they international, gonna stop building buildings, I don't think that's about to happen no time soon. I'm talking about they would have trailers and trailers of nuts and bolts. You would go on a thing, they would have whole fields. Talking about 20, 30 acres full of nuts and bolts, right? Every construction site you go in, they got something called a bolt shack. That's what somebody working up, and their job is to get nuts and bolts for everybody. You go in there and tell them what size you need. Like, and all of them got Fastenal. That's how I learned about, like, that's how I got into URI. I was like, yo, every construction site I worked on,
that's who bringing the equipment.
Rentals. They're everywhere. Like, and that's what made me start looking into businesses like that. You know what I'm saying? Industrial, infrastructure. You know what I'm saying? Like the things that, you know, certain things look sexy, but again, what the engine look like.
Right. What the engine look like.
Definitely, man. Definitely. Man, that was great, Queen. We talked. Listen, you never cease to amaze me. That's why I need you on this show. Like, you are phenomenal. Like, you never cease to amaze me. And people don't know, like, the research that goes into this.
Absolutely.
Consistency. I want to ask you a question, though. As you research, do you feel yourself get better?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I would also say probably more hungry. Like, you know, because you could say, oh, I've mastered this. But in this game, it's kind of like golf, probably. Like I hear people say about golf. It's hard to master. Which is what makes it addictive. Right? So I get more, the more I dig in, the more I prepare, the more I research, I'm like, okay, yeah, I got a laundry list of about, I don't know, 40 different things that I'm like, okay, I got to dig in on this.
Right?
So it makes me more hungry, but I'm definitely getting better every day, but it makes me more hungry than anything. Like to learn more.
I like it. I just want to say that Re-Opportunities is growing, and I want to thank everybody who in here, everybody who come, everybody who look forward. Please keep complimenting the Queen, because I need her to know that she is so pivotal and so vital for this. You want to say something before we go, Queen?
Just sometimes it's good to go in the opposite direction of the crowd.
That's heavy.
That's what I want to.
That's heavy. And I think what people don't like, a lot of my bangers, a lot of companies that I really banged out with were companies that people didn't know about. But they knew it. Like, they wasn't talked about on Wall Street like that. You know what I'm saying? That's how I found a lot of my, you know, and I don't want to say they gems. It's just that I just did the research. Like, they not looked at all the time. You know what I'm saying?
They're
like,
just sitting out moving.
They're just sitting there. You know what I'm saying? So I just love being a part of that. And for me, I just want everybody to know that, man. We just, we're going to be consistent with putting out this. Our goal is just educate. Educate. And we're not going to stop.
Absolutely.
We on a long way. So just want to tell everybody, thank y'all for tapping in. Do me a favor, like, subscribe, comment below, man. And share this with somebody, man. Share this with somebody, man. So I'm gonna tell you, Queen, thank you. Good night. We will see you. They'll see you next week. I'm gonna see you in the group tomorrow.
Right. Let's keep trapping. Let's keep trapping.
For sure, man. Good night, y'all.